I made $1,000 on this ES long by targeting zero prints that formed during a massive 130-point sell-off. Here's exactly what my Footprint Pro and Volume Profile Pro indicators showed me, and why now I only add to my winners instead of adding to my losers. Want to go over a trade for Thursday, January 29th, that remarkably hyper-volatile day that had like a 100-plus point range. That definitely set me off balance for a while there, because when that opening bell hit and we immediately dropped, there were so many sell signals all the way down, and I just kept on thinking to myself, well, we dropped 30 points now. I can't enter a short now, right? Then we dropped 50 points. I'm like, we can't take a short now. That'd be irresponsible. And then we drop like 70, 80 points. I'm thinking, there's no way I'm going to short this now. This just seems absolutely ridiculous to short something that's already down 80 points. But I kept on going. And in retrospect, I have to learn just to trust my signals on the indicators that I built. They're not lying. So I'm trying to learn to do that better. And I was able to compose myself and then take a trade after it bounced off of the 50-day simple moving average and started bouncing back up. You can see the 50-day moving average down here. I just drew this by hand, but we came on here and bounced. I kind of composed myself to see, okay, where do I want to potentially go long? And what I was targeting, if we look at my TradeZella journal, is that I was targeting these zero prints. We had zero prints form in the beginning, and it was, you don't see this many zero prints in a full week, and to have them form bar after bar after bar after bar with tons of seller volume imbalance, like all these yellow bars across here, that's a zero print. That's a zero print number 2, zero print number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7. We have like 7 or 8 zero prints. The top one is up here at 6999.25 and ES, accompanied by a slew of seller volume imbalance. Just to be clear, a zero print, for those not be familiar with this, something from Carmine Rosato, where we have a total volume, let's say, of 100, and the delta is 100% dominated by one participant. So, like in these cases, there was no buyers here. It was all bid. There was no offer. So you think about a footprint indicator. This is my Footprint Pro indicator. Left-hand side, this is the delta. Right-hand side, this is going to be the total volume. And so looking at this, these yellow borders and then the yellow zones are zero prints. There is, in this case, all sellers, all bid, no offer. Just nobody was there for offers. So it zipped right through it. Again, here. And Carmine's hypothesis is that zero prints always fill. Like, even if they don't fill in the same session, they eventually fill to the upside, at least. And I found that to be the case. And so I've set up my Market Zero Footprint Pro indicator to have those. The free trade of it one has something kind of like that, where it shows per bar, but they're really truly defined as happening once at a single price level per session during the regular trading hour session. And so the NinjaTrader indicator I'm able to do that with because it's a little more computationally robust. So going back to what I was observing when I took this long after the bounce off the 50-day, is that we had this period of consolidation across here. It went from, looking at mountain time here, probably a quarter after 9 all the way until close to, after 10 o'clock. So 45 minutes we consolidated here. At first, we were absorbing sellers, see like 249, minus 207, minus 32. We had a strong seller delta, see 32.3%, with a strong seller volume imbalance with you see these pink borders here. Usually we have 20% or more. It means that there's a large participant there in play and something significant is going to happen. And yeah, that's kind of what happened here. We went from absorbing strong sellers, then we saw buyers getting more and more aggressive. We started absorbing buyers, but that was overcome. And you see that then we had strong buying volume imbalance, these cyan borders, and then starting to trap buyers, sellers rather, the minus 35 on the way up. And then even having the strong 29.7% buying delta at VWAP right around the POC. So this is kind of where I then looked at taking an interest in longs. If we go back to a little further along here, we see that there was a test up here, rejection. So then we continued back to test this area of consolidation. So we came back down and tested this. And that was what I was interested in taking, because when I saw we came down here, and then we have buyer, we're getting absorbed. So this is a diversion signal. But in this case, I saw we were not able to get below this consolidation level. So I knew buyers are strong. And despite them being absorbed, they were likely not going to be able to hold on to that. And that big magnet that I was looking at was the zero prints, ranging all the way up to 6999.25. So up here. But I was hoping to fill all these zero prints. So looking at, getting close to, that 7,000 psychological level. I'm down here at 69.40 and I'm starting to load. And every time they come down here and I see sellers not able to move it, I just kept on adding to my position, and keeping that same stop loss. My risk was probably getting higher, but there's only like so many days left on this funded test account. And I missed like 2 weeks on this. So I kind of did the math on this and realized I need to do more and kind of compress my timeline on this if I want to pass my current take profit trader test account. And so I added on here when I saw then strong buyers, see the 20.6% here, strong buying volume imbalance in the footprint indicator with the cyan. And this is where I was adding and just kept on adding on to this. I think when I say adding, I did only three times I could trade on this. It was the initial position and then 2 more adds. So I had a total of, 6 contracts, micros, not the E-mini. But you still would, get like 1,000 on this with 6 micro contracts for 34 points, which is pretty sweet. So my thesis on this was that we were testing the previous area consolidation. This is my journal. What I do, I always do the where, which is price, the what, which is the signals I'm seeing from my market zero indicators, and then I do my thesis, the why, based on the above, why am I getting into this? And so, I build up my argument up here about why I'm getting to a trade and then what's going to happen here and some red flags and why I exited. I consider this like a 9 out of 10 trade. What I saw was that there was this area consolidation I showed before. You'll observe kind of here, I have the NinjaTrader chart up, but I'm actually executing on trade of it. So you could probably do this with any broker you're on. You could execute any broker you want, but just use the NinjaTrader charts to have my indicators. Anyways, so the where was this previous area of consolidation and support. And then kind of the what I was observing was we had stacked buyer volume zones here and here. We had strong buyer delta percentage. We had this 20+%. We had strong buyer volume imbalances. And then we overcame these buyer absorptions. This bar closed red with a positive buyer delta twice, but then we overcame that. So this is my starter position. Book map, you can kind of see that same thing where that consolidation was happening. Previously, we just weren't able to get below that. You see these strong buyers. This is on the 50-minute chart on book map, or 50-minute time frame rather. And, if we can't get volume to get close to these levels, I'm theorizing that we're going to hold. Like these buyers are here to play and they're going to defend that position. Here's the zero prints. And then, these areas I was targeting on the way back up. And then I started adding on to the winner. So, this is, you can see down here, it was, we're in the green now, and I'm adding to this. Instead of, I know all of us have been there, we add to our losers, and then we take even bigger loss. I'm trying to train myself to add to winners and become comfortable with that. It, makes sense to do the opposite, right? You take sometimes the biggest losses when you start adding to a loser, and then you just end up blowing up an account. In this case, why not add to your winners when you find a good opportunity? So that's what I was doing here. As we came through here, it's like, well, we got, this stacked buyer volume zone and this positive percentage here. And we are starting to see now there's some seller absorption happening here. So, and even though we have these buyer absorption happening, we overcome that with a buyer volume imbalance. We're above VWAP now. And so at this point, I'm looking at that along with we've formed a positive buyer volume profile delta. So this is the market zero volume profile pro indicator. You can put your delta on the left-hand side or the right-hand side and then set the values to show the labels here. I have it set to 800 on ES. So when there's 800 more, or when there's 800 absolute value, whether it's negative or positive, I'll show the labels here. So I know something something big happened at that level, at this price level over the entire whole session. So in this case, we're above VWAP, we're above this delta, we're kind of holding the point of control on the volume profile. And I'm adding on to this, just targeting those 0 prints up above. Looking at Bookmap, we're still seeing, the same thesis holding. We're getting to the space here and buyers are still defending. And then here's the second ad. I kind of see where it was before, and I'm adding to this. So there's, buyer absorption now. And we're getting above this buyer delta. We do have a seller delta here, which could be, I guess, a bit of a red flag, but I see we almost hit the 0 print, the first 0 print, but failed to hit it. And the thesis, the Carmine talks about like 0 prints always fill, which I've found to be true. That's why I built them into the volume pro, the footprint pro indicator for market 0. And I thought, well, at the very least, we're going to hit this 0 print, right? And quite likely these 0 prints up above, up to the 6999 level, which in fact we did. We actually came short, I think, by a tick of this 0 print during regular trading hours, but hit it after hours, which I still count that as a valid zone the next day. My logic around that is if it can only be formed in regular trading hours, it means it can only be cleared during regular trading hours. And so I have that indicator set up in a way. If you look at the Footprint Pro indicator, Footprint Pro, this is for NinjaTrader. You do have some of this on TradeAvit as far as 0 prints, but it's only per bar. I can't computationally do the 0 prints like I do on NinjaTrader, which is, this is by session, right? I do either a regular trading hour session or full trading day. And what Carmine has typically historically done is said they're good for a regular trading hour session, which this is how I've set them up because I found that to be more effective. I got my times up here, mountain times, that's why it's 7:30. So that is remarkably effective. And hitting this, which I can't really do this on TradeAvit, but you're limiting the 0 print to 1 per scope. So I can only have 1 per price level per the scope defined up here above. So that's how I define 0 prints, and you can do it to your liking as well for whatever instrument you trade. Works for Q and things like that, NQ. And then, the volume profile is looking at this really quick. You can see the delta, which is talking about this earlier. I have this set up so that it is a delta to the left and the total on the right. And then I have my filter, like I said before, at 800 for ES. So anytime I see a value, I absolute 800, whether it's minus or positive, it'll show up as a label on the delta profile, and it even shows up even on the previous day. So you see here the previous day volume profile, which is super helpful. So now I can see the point of control from the previous day, plus any areas that might have been some strong resistances or support. So these have been really clutch, along with actually the value areas. I can see the volume profile value area from the previous day, and then the LVNs. Like this is super clutch. Like low volume nodes, I don't think I touched base on this video as much on those, but you can see that down here, LVN. You see up above LVNs as well. That's a really other nice feature on the Market Zero NinjaTrader Volume Profile Pro Indicator. So anyways, that, I guess should have canceled out of that. Eventually price did in fact then move up. Kind of consolidate here. We took out those 0 prints and we moved all the way up to that last 0 print you see here. Right, like a tick shy of that last one, 6999.25. And then you see here, it doesn't clear as price goes through this because this is now after hours, so I don't count that. So theoretically, this is still in play for Friday. If you want to see these same 0 print signals and volume profile deltas I'm using, the ones that help me target those 0 prints and make $1,000 on this wild day, I've got a free trial you can start for the Footprint Pro Indicator, Volume Profile Pro Indicator, and key levels. Right now, there's a 30-day trial. That will change come February 1st. I'll drop that down to 14. I'm also offering a coupon for 40% off. If you enter in Copilot 40, you'll get 40% off the price. And in addition to that, I have one more day left on a package deal, a bundle. All 3 indicators for $79 a month. You are saving $85 a month, and you're going to be locked in for that for life if you keep that subscribed active. These are all free trials, so you'll have time to kick that around and try it out. Plus, you can join my free Discord where I post my daily journals. You can check those out as well, along with answer questions that you may have. And if this breakdown of 0 prints and the whole magnet theory has helped you understand why price fills those gaps, hit subscribe. I post these trade journals every time I take a trade and want something to be shared to the public that I think would be of value to you. Thank you for watching and hope you have a great day. We'll see you in the next one. Safe trading out there.